Hi, so welcome back to Real Auto Reports. I'm Jonathan McGrew, and this is Real Auto Ranch, where we are filming today the Real First Impressions video edition on this 2014 Subaru Impreza Sport. This is the limited model, and well, we've seen this car previously, and you'll find the light blue one on our YouTube channel, but that was a couple model years ago, and when they first introduced the new 2-liter. This is an automatic, and that one was a manual, and it actually does change the driving perception from a first impressions. So we're going to give you all the details on this and the limited trim, so stay tuned as we check this car out. All right, so from a first impressions, since the car really hasn't been redesigned since the last time we saw it, I'll keep this short and sweet. You can check out the other one we saw back a model year or so ago. This is a nice car. It's in a darker color than we saw it before. It's in a nice deep blue. It has the fog lights because it's the limited. And all in all, I think the front end is a nice look. I think the Subarus have a nice design language. You have nice bold styling. You have this nice opening for the grille, the lip spoiler. Everything about the front is nice. And the windshield, you'll notice, has this more cab forward design that we used to talk about years ago. It's a big windshield, and you'll notice that the windshield wiper is bigger on the driver's side and shorter on the passenger side. And it actually does give you a nice arc and clears the windshield. The car is nice. The thing is that does it meet with today's design language, the designs that we're seeing out of the competition? I think it's a more traditional design, and I think it's one that Subaru fans really like. So there's nothing wrong with that. But let's go look at the side and see how the car holds up from there. All right, so from the side, the thing that you're going to notice is that the car has very subdued details in the side. It is a nice, big side here. You do have some details down in the bottom of the door, and then the bolt-on pieces that go under the door on the rocker there. You have a belt line detail that rides above these color-keyed door handles. You're going to have the mirrors here that are nice and large, and that's one of the things about this car. The visibility out of it, because of how big the windows are, is actually quite good. And one of the odd things about it, compared to a lot of the cars on the market, is that this A-pillar is actually a lot smaller than in a lot of the cars we see today, which means it's actually going to be easier to look through the glass to see around it. That's a big issue we see in a lot of cars, especially the shorter you get and the closer to the wheel, the more those big fat A-pillars for safety get in the way. Yet Subaru has managed to design around that and still create a pretty safe car here, something else that they're known for. You also have these high-profile roof rails on this car, which may not be the best for drag coefficient, but for those people who are using it in the winter, it is excellent because you can bolt your ski racks and your bike racks and everything to this, and it is a nice meaty roof rack that you can use. So some nice things about this car. Also a classic from Subaru at this point, the graphite wheels, something you don't see on every car. You see a lot of black wheels, you see a lot of chrome and a lot of silver metallic and alloy, but these graphite style wheels are really something that sticks more to the Subaru brand. Let's take a look at the back and see what they have going on there. All right, so from the back, it's not going to be super surprising out here. It looks pretty much like it did when they redesigned it. It does have a nice look. You've got a nice windshield wiper feature. Notice though that what's interesting about the Impreza Sport is there's really no spoiler that hangs out over the rear roof line. There is a little bit of a lip here that helps with the drag coefficient and moving the air over the top. But it is interesting to me that in a lot of the SUVs and the hatchbacks, we see the spoilers coming off the back. Now remember that this is a PZEV, or partially zero emission vehicle, and that's one of the things Subaru prides themselves in, is that part of the, the helping the environment and doing the best they can with the cars they're making. Of course, you have your symmetrical all-wheel drive badge, and you have the ability to open the rear lift gate here. And there is a good amount of room back here. Of course, you also have your cover to keep things private. And all in all, it all works well. You can even easily pull this over and take that bar out if you need to load stuff in the flat load floor when you load and put the seats down, because you can fold the seats down, and it is a 60-40 split basically, so that from here over is one side, you can put a short side down or the big side. Now, the one thing I will say is that having lived with these bars in SUVs for a long time, these become a bit of an interesting problem when you start to go and you load stuff in, because if you don't take it out and plan ahead, you have to find somewhere to stick it after you get all your packages in there. So make sure you plan ahead when you're going to jam stuff in the back of your Subaru. But all in all, I think it's a neat car. I think it's got a lot of good room, and closing that hatch is actually pretty easy. It's well balanced and light, and that's a nice thing, especially when you have your hands full. All right, so from the driver's seat, this is actually a pretty nice car inside, and we felt different about it in the other review with the lower trim package, but when you get the Limited, it is pretty nice. You've got this two-tone interior, this nice kind of cream color on the bottom side. You do have soft touch, even though it may not look like it. It is a soft touch around the dash. And you've got all these steering wheel controls, which when you get used to are quite handy. Your hang up and your dial or your pickup on the phone, your volume, your presets, cruise control, paddle shifters. It's actually what you would expect from a Subaru and from their kind of racing and sporty lineage with the WRX. This Impreza Sport also, as I said, has a great view out of it. It has a lot of glass. You've got a sunroof. It's on the smaller side, but still does what it's supposed to, letting in light and air. If you open it, it's a tilt and slide back. I like the car from the inside. I like the driving position in this car. The only thing that I've really griped about is the power. But I do like that you have a automatic climate control. Even though it's not digital, you have the ability to set the temperature, and you have this newer head unit in this Limited where you have the screen and the backup camera all built in, but you still in the Limited don't have Sirius satellite radio or XM or any of the above. You only have an HD radio. And I guess just in today's day and age, not having navigation or the HD, or rather the satellite radio, is a little bit of a bummer at a $25,000 price point. But you do have that all-wheel drive, and I keep saying that because it really does make a difference, especially in certain areas like Colorado, where we do get our fair share of the white powdery stuff to drive through. So all in all, from the interior perspective, I like this car. I find it comfortable. You will want still the adjustable lumbar, which they don't have even in this Limited package, but you know, we'll forgive them that for the moment, because it is a nicer texture in the seat with the leather interior than the cloth that we saw in the other model on our YouTube channel. Let's check out what's under the hood. All right, so under the hood, you're going to find something that is no surprise to Subaru fans, and probably not to those who have been researching the car. It's a 2-liter Boxer motor under the hood, horizontally opposed, so 4 cylinders going this away instead of this away. We like the Boxer design. It's one that's been used by many of interesting manufacturer, but Subaru has a lot of heritage in this motor, and the only thing is that we wish that it had more low range and mid-range power. It just feels like it leaves you flat-footed when you're trying to get up and go and catch a light. But the odd thing is that the CVT in this car that we have testing today is better than the manual we saw previously here at Real Auto Reports. You can see that one on our YouTube channel. It's a lighter blue and a different model year. The thing is that the CVT is the one I would recommend to someone if they were going to buy this car, because it really does drive better. It's more pleasurable to drive, and yes, you can still shift it with the paddle shifters in manual mode, and that simulation is a more pleasurable experience than the 5-speed manual that you can buy. The thing is that you're also going to get better gas mileage. You're going to get 27 miles per gallon in town, 36 on the highway, and a combined 30 mile per gallon rating with the CVT. That's a few miles per gallon better than the manual we tested. In fact, it's 2 miles per gallon in the city better with the CVT than the manual. And that's just the irony of today's engineering. The power curve of this motor is better for the CVT. Now, the thing you will notice is it is pretty noisy, because it does keep you revved up pretty good to keep this car motoring around. All right, so that's the Real First Impressions video edition on this 2014 Subaru Impreza Sport Limited. This is a 2-liter boxer engine, and that means it's horizontally opposed. You're going to find that it is not as, well, peppy as you might expect. In fact, it feels darn right sluggish right in the lower end of the speed range. Yet, it still seems to get a 0 to 60 rating of about 9.8 seconds. If you're comparing it to the Toyota Corolla from 2014, that's going to be, according to different tests, anywhere between a second slower to about, half or a little less slower. And it's going to be only a couple tenths slower than a Honda Civic. So it's not actually as sluggish as it seems, but in that driving perception, we just, man, when you floor it, you would expect a lot more to happen from a Subaru, and maybe that's just that WRX mentality. But the thing that you cannot compromise on this car is the all-wheel drive system. Subaru is known for it, and if you live in a climate such as we do here in the Rocky Mountains and you have snow, which is impending any minute here with all this wind, then you might want that security of the symmetrical all-wheel drive. It also, in the limited package, comes standard with the rear view camera, and it has the nice leather-like interior and the heated seat options, as long as you can find them. I think Subaru is doing a decent job, but they just feel a little bit behind on the technology. Right about $25,000 is tested. This car does not have satellite radio or navigation, which is interesting. So you're trading those luxury type features for all-wheel drive. When you go down and you look at competitors like the Ford Focus, the Toyota Corolla that we mentioned, and others where, like the Kia Forte, where those luxury features would be more standard at this price point. So you're definitely going to have to balance the options when you're looking at this Subaru Impreza Sport. But the quality's there and the driving appeal's there from a handling perspective. So we'll see how we feel after living with it for a week in our real video, the real review, coming up here at Real Auto Reports. I'm Jonathan McCrew. Stay tuned, and we'll see you down the road.